everyone. Welcome to this episode of Rebecca and Rebecca, where we read, write, well, we're writers, but we read and review books and we get to talk to the authors. My name is Rebecca Yager, and my partner over there is Rebecca Reed. How are you, Rebecca?
I'm doing fantastic.
Great.
Sun's shining today.
Yeah.
Finally, it rained earlier, which was great because it's been super dry. So we needed the rain, and we're supposed to get more later, which is good. Get my hay growing so I can go back to cutting hay again and all that stuff.
My rural girl in Indiana. I wish it would rain here in Dallas, but we are just hot and muggy. It is July after all. So anyway, today we are doing a review of a book, Driving Force, and it's new in the Elite Guardians series. It's by Kate Angelo and Lynette Eason. So Rebecca, why don't you tell us about the book and we'll dive in and tell you more about it.
Okay, so this is a part of the Elite Guardians collection. It's the first book in it. And here's the blurb. It says, he's the last client she wants to protect. Elite Guardians bodyguard, former sniper Christina Sherman has protected uncooperative clients before. But this time, well, her client is bossy, headstrong, and occasionally eats off the floor. Yes, he's a highly trained military working dog, but certainly her skills could be put to a better use, right? Not according to former Special Forces Air Commando Gray Parker. He needs her to protect his dog while he undergoes an experimental surgery that could restore his ability to walk. He just needs someone to keep his canine partner safe. Most of all, Gray wants back on his feet so he can track down and find a mad scientist known as the Scavenger, who unleashed a nerve agent that left Gray sidelined in a wheelchair. When an attempt is made on Gray's life and dead bodies begin piling up with evidence the same toxin is responsible, suddenly Christina is tasked with keeping both dog and soldier alive, and with them, the secrets that could stop a terrorist attack. But this time, even Christina might be in over her head.
That's good. I love the whole premise of this book. If you know the original Elite Guardians series by Lynette Eason, and this is kind of a continuation, the Elite Guardians collection with a new crop of authors. You do not need to have read the original Elite Guardians books, but they're fun and good. So we'll recommend those anyway as a good read as we lead into this one. Let's start with the characters. We've got Gray, Christina, and I think my favorite character of all, which is Boss, who is the dog, who's Gray's dog. Mm-hmm. More than just a dog, actually, because he's one of those sniffer canines that can. And
I was fascinated to learn all about that. It was so interesting, the little bit about what the training involved and how much Gray. I didn't realize a lot of them get their dogs as puppies. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And it was very interesting, to find out that, the handlers train the dogs and are really responsible for how successful each dog gets to be and what they learn how to do and, all of those things. But Boss definitely has his own personality.
He definitely does. And you admire, I really admire now these trained dogs and what they can do and what their abilities are. And there is such a bond between them and their handlers. And in this case with Gray, with the soldier involved. So really fun. And he's got such a good personality, and he really falls in love with Christina, almost to the point where Gray, his handler, is jealous. And it was just, that lightened up the book in certain spots to see the personality of Boss the dog.
Yes, it was fun to see the attachment that he formed with Christina, and how Gray did get kind of jealous about how the dog would follow Christina instead of staying with him and things like that. But speaking of Gray, it's kind of rare to read about a handicapped or disabled hero. I mean, there's often inclusion of some handicapped character, but this is completely different because this is the hero of the story. And I will say that Kate and Lynette, the way they handled this um, difficult subject. Not only do you have an unpredictable dog to deal with, but this wheelchair and the whole, this could be quite touchy for people who are in this situation. And I was just very impressed with how gently and but accurately, like they didn't treat it as if he were less than. And I think that's the whole point of the book too,
Mhm.
when you get down to like talking about theme and things. He's not less than, and he might be in a wheelchair, but he's certainly capable still, and very he's still well trained and has good instincts, and all of those things that he's still able to do. But it deals with his attitude about his own situation versus what other people see also. And I think that was just handled so well.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. We still get to see a few of his struggles in the chair, but he is so capable and just so, his Air Force training just helped. And the way Christina saw him, the heroine, she didn't see the chair. She saw the man. And it was well handled. And it even shocked Gray that Christina saw him, because they handled it very well and saying, people see the chair and they don't see the person.
Right.
And here was a character that saw the person. And
It
very well
actually,
done. So nice to have the hero. Like,
yes, I mean, well, I think what you said about her forgetting that he was in a chair several times, where she would do something and be like, "Oh yeah, you can't do this thing because you have
mhm,
to deal with this chair." And it really pulled Gray closer to Christina, because I don't think he wasn't really wanting anything to do with love or any of that.
mhm,
Romance was certainly not in his future plans, but because of her view of him, I mean, it just pulled him in, and it was almost like he couldn't help but fall in love with her just because of how she felt about him and how she
mhm.
treated him.
Yes, exactly. How she treated him, because his focus is on, this surgery that possibly could make him walk again and stuff. And so he's like, no one's going to think about me in this chair. If the surgery's not successful because it's experimental, no one's going to care. So yeah, he is not focused on romance at all. But if we shift to Christina, she is really not either. She's part of this elite guardians agency, which is, I love all these women because they're so capable, so highly trained, kind of fun, they can kick butt. But they're still very feminine. They're still girly in a fun way. It's really, I like all these characters
Yes.
in the book. But Christina, is a sniper or trained sniper, former in that. And she's got a rough history where she didn't trust a lot of people. So she's not looking for romance either. And the way she and Gray come together is just, Gray needed someone to take care of Boss, the dog, in an emergent situation. I don't know how much we can give away here, but in a
Talks about that already in the blurb, so I think we're good.
okay, in a tricky situation, after an assassination attempt on the governor. We can say that much. And Gray happens to be there. He gets injured and needs someone, they won't let him take the dog to the hospital. And Christina is there as part of the protection detail for the governor. And he just kind of thrusts, she's the closest person, and thrusts the dog in her direction. And I kind of like that. This was just like they met haphazardly and
Hmm.
not just, I don't know how to explain that, but I just thought that was really kind
Yeah,
of
it was good.
cool.
It was a very unique um hero heroine meet cute. I really liked how it was handled, because it was in the heat of the moment. There was a lot of action going on, and then boom, here we are with gotta somebody needs to take care of this dog, and he doesn't trust people either very well. So that was a really interesting clue, and the dog went right to her, so that was a big sign too that it was okay.
Mhm.
And it was, yeah, it was very well done, very handled very well. The situations in the story, just they're all handled very well, and the writing is extremely um I mean, I felt like I was pulled in from the very first page and I
Mhm.
never stopped. I
Mhm.
wanted to know what happened next. The narrator on the audiobook, because I always listen to the audiobooks if possible, she did a really good job. I felt like, my biggest thing for audiobook readers is I want them, I don't even want to notice that they're there. I want them to be expressive enough to make it interesting, but I don't want them to be so over the top that I realize somebody's reading it to me. And I felt like this one was done quite well. I can't remember
So,
the name of the audio, but let me look and see if I can
yeah. So you were
remember.
drawn into the story instead of being distracted by what the
Yes.
audio narrator
Yeah, Beth Ann Reed is the name of the
read.
narrator.
Well,
And
kudos to Beth.
she did a great job. So I
No, that's
recommend
good, and
it.
that's important because, and like you, I felt like I was really drawn into the story, and I want to go hang out with these people because
Me
they're
too.
you
Yeah,
know, so I was
yeah.
really drawn into their world, and that's good writing.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, the descriptions were good, but not over the top. I could see, what the characters look like. I could see the situations, but I didn't feel like I needed to skip anything. I didn't want to just fast forward, get past this
Mhm.
long whatever. It was all very nicely done. I didn't, my pet peeves that we were talking earlier, and I don't feel like she repeated a lot of words really close together, and I felt like her sentences flowed really nicely. That's one thing about audiobooks too, is you can hear all of that, and even a good narrator can't overcome that kind of issue. So um, it was good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, and it is important, like for writers, either to read your work out loud or have it played to you. You can do that now, where it will read your work to you, and you do catch a lot that way. So when you talk about audiobooks, it is both now. You gotta, for that word choice is so critical.
You have to be careful with all those dialogue tags too, because now with all the audiobooks, those dialogue tags really reduce the audio experience. It's
Mhm.
you because a reader will skip over them with their eyes, but when you're listening, you don't have that luxury. You're going to hear it. So if you have he said, she said all the time, it gets super, super annoying. So you need to use those action beats instead of all those dialogue tags to break that up so that the audio turns out well.
That's real important stuff to think about, because that keeps the pace of the book. And I thought the pace of this book was good. They did have the moments where you kind of catch your breath that were
Right.
comical, especially with the dog. And then they kept on going. So you kept going. The pace was great, I thought.
Yes. Yeah, not every scene had a disaster.
Yeah.
There were scenes that you could just relax and enjoy the moment, and I think that is sometimes with certain suspense or thriller books, it's almost like you never get to take that breath, and this one you do, but it's not such a long breath that you're like, okay, I'm bored. I never felt bored. I mean, it was just like, okay, breathe. Okay, we're back into something action oriented now. So yeah.
Very good. Well, True Confessions, I did kind of guess the bad guy, but she left enough questions where you're like, well, he's got to be the bad guy, but is someone working with him? Is he really it? So it didn't ruin the book at all to suspect him. In fact, I started looking for the clues like I would be an investigator too. Again, I wanted to be in this world with these characters and stuff. So I wanted to help investigate. So it was still well done, even with the bad guy. Um,
Yes, and if you have read the original series, a lot of those characters that you got to know before, they're still here and they're still there, and you get to kind of get an update on their lives too. So that was kind of fun.
it really was just well done. Let's talk more about Christina. Again, I liked her independence, but not so over the top where you've seen other characters, their female characters are so independent that they can do it without anybody's help. And
Right.
it's kind of, you just want to smack them. And she does lean on her elite guardians friends, and she does, and she trusts Gray, the hero in this. So she's not so over the top. She's very capable, but she doesn't make dumb decisions like that. Oh, let's go into the, creepy forest all by myself. I don't need to tell anybody where I am.
Run towards the chainsaws or,
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't do that either.
So I do appreciate that these characters were real and capable and weren't doing the stupid things where you want to smack them.
Right. I agree. Now, Christina she has a really interesting backstory, the two that comes out, and you just want to, I felt very empathetic towards her. I wanted to know, okay, there's a little quirky thing going on there. Why does she do that? And I wanted to know. And I thought that the book does a really good job of really piecing those stories out, because both Gray and Christina have a huge past that really impacts their present, but you don't get it in a big clumps. It's strung out. It's usually in conversation, and you find out about it in really timely ways, but it's just little snippets as you go, and it's really good. That's really woven in well, and the writing on that is done well, as I'm saying well a lot. I don't know why I'm saying well a lot, but it's good.
Just don't repeat that in your writing.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
No, it's done very well to do that. Plus, again, it's more natural because it does come out in conversation, and as they're falling in love and are attracted to each other, that's even drawn out slowly. I mentioned to you before that I have another author who I'm not going to name, and I've read all her books, romantic suspense, loved all her series. Her current series, the hero and the heroine are falling in love in 2 seconds flat, and there's no build up to it. And it's ruining the books for me, even as good as the suspense is. And this one, the romance was done so well, as they like each other first. It's not this instant, oh, I'm going to love you forever. They like each other. They get to know each other through the course of the story. They have good conversations, and again, she sees the man and not the wheelchair. And it was just so lovely. I mean, I thought that part was just well done, especially after reading these other books that disappointed me.
I was gonna say, if you've ever read, disabled characters, and you felt like there was issues with the way that they were treated, you won't have that in this story.
Exactly. Okay, we have to talk about this Tesla, his car.
Oh gosh, yes.
It sounds so cool.
I know. And actually, Kate has a blog about this car. I haven't read it, but I saw she has one, and I'm like, I need to check that out. Like, how did she find out about this car? But yeah, the car it's so cool because it's self-driving, and it has all these little little things that make his life and the being in the wheelchair makes him independent, makes him be able to be independent. It just, with the little robotic arm that picks up the wheelchair, and all these, just so cool. The way he can he uses his hands to drive, and they describe all that, and it was fascinating. It was so interesting.
And again, not distracting from the story, but adding to the story. You really get a good visual and a good picture of how he's living his life.
Well, and it plays more, it's more of a role in the story than just, oh, there's this cool car. I mean, she describes it in detail because it's used. It's important. Like, and it almost becomes it's not really a character, but it's kind of is. I mean, it plays a big role. There are actually other cars in the story that play a big role too. Because was it Bertha? Was that the name of the other car?
Oh, Bertha. Oh, I forgot about Bertha. Yes.
Yeah. So if you like cars and you're interested in cars, you could read the story for that too, because there's a lot of little car things in this story that are integral to the plot, not just, oh, let's put this cool car in here. So
no, they're good seasoning for the story. They really make things come to life. So overall, I think we can say that we both really liked this book a lot. I enjoyed the writing. I think I would read Kate Angelo again, because she was
Yes.
just fast paced and good, and the seasoning of these, and they weren't characters, but boy, did they add so much, like the cars and,
Yeah.
and the detail without going over the top where you want to skip over it. And, that's good writing.
I agree.
I think so. So I think we can highly recommend Driving Force. It's Kate Angelo with Lynette Eason. This program, by the way, with Kate writing with Lynette is really cool. We'll talk about that. We're going to interview Lynette next month.
Not Lynette.
No, and we're going to interview Kate next month.
Okay. Kate, yes. And she's I've not met her, so I'm excited to actually talk to her. I've interacted with her, but it's all been through texting and different things. So I'm excited to meet with her. She's going to be fascinating, I'm sure. And so that'll be coming in August.
You bet. And we look forward to that. Meanwhile, pick up a copy of Driving Force so you're ready to go when we interview Kate Angelo. We appreciate you being here, and we will see you next time.
Yep. Enjoy your reading or writing or both.
Bye.